We are live. Hello, Lauren.
Hi, Kismana. How are you?
I'm doing well. It's October,
Yeah.
Halloween,
Mhm.
my favorite time of year. It'll be my anniversary on the 25th.
Wow.
We hit, I think, 31 years this year, or I'm 32. I don't know. I'd have to calculate, and I'm bad at math. But I am really excited about today. And I'm excited for so many reasons. First of all, that it's October, yay, but for our art talk. And I'm sure you're just as excited. So without further ado, I would like to introduce a very incredible woman. So are you ready? Are you ready?
Mm.
Shiloh Sophia, here she is. Shiloh, first of all, I have so many things to say about you.
Hi, Kisma. Hi, Lauren. Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for tuning in today. It's great to be with you in the studio.
Yeah, and it's so exciting to have you here. I mean, you have quite a biography, and but I do want to just say a couple of things. You know, I know those of you who are tuning in, you have also gone to the live stream webpage and read about Shiloh and all of her. I mean, you have such an incredible biography that you swim in it, you get lost in it, you get pulled in so many different directions. It's like, wait a minute, I want that, I want to do that, I want to do, and it's very rich. So I just want to say that your bio is so incredibly rich, it's intoxicating. And then when you bring Musea into the mix, it's just like, wow, you have created, you are part of a world. I mean, a world. Don't you feel that way?
Oh, that is so kind. I don't think anyone's ever described my bio as intoxicating. I like it. Yeah, there is definitely a world that we create together as creatives when we make a decision to be in community together. And, sometimes it's in reaction to what's happening out there, but mostly it's about what's happening in here for the artist. So I'm grateful to be with you all.
Yeah, okay, so now I want to just say to the viewers out there, I have personally had the honor of experiencing Shiloh's tutelage in Color of Woman. I'm one of her graduates. I think it was 21. It was the year of lockdown. Was that 21 or 20? I'm starting to get vague on the dates now, because we're moving so far away from it. But that year of lockdown, being involved in Color of Woman was incredibly life-saving because it was community and it was so rich with activities and just that sense of togetherness. No one was alone at all, ever. And still, that's the way it is. So I just want to share that my experience was top-notch, right at the top of all of my memories with regards to doing any type of formal training, because I consider Color of Woman a type of formal training because we're learning your techniques, your styles, your skills. And of course, you've gone on to become a university, which I would like to bring up in a little while, if you're open to that, which I'm sure you are. But I want to ask you something, because this is a question I wanted to ask you back then. Okay, you were raised in an incredible legacy, right? I mean, oh boy, wow. You had I would say almost like a dream-like um, environment that you grew up in. So wealthy with beautiful women who groomed you and shared with you and guided you, almost a throwback to ages ago when women were raised by women in an all-woman environment. You know, I mean, yes, there were men around, but you know what I'm talking about. But I want to go to that time when you were just a little girl, like 6 or 7 or 8, maybe. What did you want to be when you grew up?
I wanted to be a judge
A judge.
so that I could administer justice.
Mm.
Wow.
And, you know, as you were saying, I did grow up in an environment where I was supported by women, but it was very traumatic too, and very hard. I think the distinction is there was enough love and they gave me tools for resiliency, which was where art comes in. So it's not that it wasn't rough, it was surreally challenging, but they gave me agency and choice and art supplies.
Art supplies. That's key, right?
Yes.
You know, I'm going to bring in one of your books right away. Okay.
Okay.
It's your last one, The
Aw.
Feast Table of Love. Okay. And for those of you who have never read one of Shiloh's books, I've got a collection going, you know, because they're just beautiful. And you're a poet laureate. Seriously, your poetry moves women of all ages and all walks of life. You do truly channel the muse when you write, which is you. I want to give you that acknowledgement. You are muse.
Hmm.
Now, I know you guide us to get in touch with our inner muse, right? But you are muse. Which sister are you?
Well, interestingly enough, even though the muses are painted, we would be the 10th muses because they don't have painting.
They don't have painting.
The painter was painting, the muses doing all the things they were doing and didn't get included in the lineup.
I know, what the heck?
I know.
Come on.
That's
So
why I
you're,
call it the 10th muse.
well, I think that's really some good, deep food for thought. So I'm turning to your book here because I want to share. I'm not going to read out of this book. I am going to read out of one of your other books. But in this book, it's incredible, first of all. And once you start reading, you will not be able to put it down. But you really go into your lineage. I mean, you talk about your life and wow. And if for nothing else, because I know some people just don't like to read. They don't like to read. You know, we're authors. We write to be read also, you know. But this book alone, with your biography, it's well worth the investment just to have this fully fleshed biography right here. And the story on top of it is just inspirational.
Thank you.
Very inspirational. So this came out, what, a year ago, 2 years ago?
Yeah. And that book is about
Books you can't see. There's her signature.
telling a story of how the gifts were passed to me using the theme of a table that was built for me by my teacher. And I'm actually sitting at this table right now. I'm at the Feast Table of Love, which the book is all about. So it uses the table as this metaphoric framework for talking about intention and how this table was made, what it was made for, how the people who would eat at this table, the economy that would be exchanged at this table, the art that would be made at this table. So it was really made with this theme. And that was 20 years ago that this table was made. And it's, when we're talking about lineage and story, it can be helpful to talk about the things like the literal object d'art that it goes around, because otherwise we're just talking concepts. So the theme of making a table that people are going to sit at and you're going to eat at, and you're making it with that as you're sanding it and as you're painting and doing the work. It took us a week to make like 4 or 5 tables. And the whole time we're thinking about everything that's going to happen at those tables in the future. And now 20 years later, that's what's happening.
It's happening, right? And I want to say something. I believe everyone who sits around that table comes for the Midnight Muse. So that's what I'm sharing right now.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, this piece, The Midnight Muse, it has pages from my first book of poetry called The Midnight Muse. And I took pages out of it and put it underneath and then brought her to the front. And it's this idea of pausing to have tea with your own creativity. And the first time I did it, basically, I just felt like I had needed an inspiration. It was 2009. And I said, how do I be with my muse more? And it was like, set an alarm for midnight, get up, make a cup of tea and sit at the table. And I will show you. And
This
that's
is-
what happened.
Yeah, and you know what, Shiloh, this is beautiful. And I have one more thing I'm going to do. I know I'm hogging the interview, Lauren, but
You're on a roll.
this talk for a while, so I'm gobbling it up. Okay, The Midnight Muse. Okay, and this is something that I want to read just a few passages of one of your poems in here, your inspiration, because that's what this really is. It's all about inspiration, right? So, viewers, I'm inviting you to close your eyes for a moment and really hear these words. These words flow from our muse, Shiloh. So just listen to them. And this is called Dangerous Territory. We are a tribe of truth tellers, revolution makers, movers and shakers of things that need moving and shaking like hips, and old ideas in need of shaking off. We are a gathering of women who straddle the worlds. We have one bare foot on the earth, toenails painted, sparkly, of course, and one cowgirl boot on the dance floor. With our heads in the stars for big dreaming and our arms outstretched to embrace as much aliveness as we can. We have our flaming hearts on our sleeves, whether we be sinners or saints or wear halos or horns. There is one thing you have to admit about us. We think for ourselves. There is never a something better than the you that is you. That right there is a motto. Nothing better than you that is you. Shiloh, boy, I'm going to tell you something. I'm bringing it up. I have so much to share about Shiloh. I just can't handle it, but I'm bringing it up right now. I'm sharing another one. Where is it? Oh, I don't have it up yet. It's like I'm digging through the stack on my table right here, getting ready to show.
Thank you for reading that. It was fun to hear it today and to consider it, to consider this idea of being more you. And it makes me think about one of our Color of Woman graduates one time was saying to me, it just feels like I'm never enough. I'm never enough. And why can't I be enough for myself? And I just was like, I think you're asking the wrong question. And she's like, well, what is the right question? And I didn't know. It was one of those moments where I knew it was the wrong question because there's never an answer to why can't I be enough? It's like, well, because the culture, because your own belief system, it's a riddle. And so I sat there and I said, well, hold on a second, let me tune in here. And I got the answer. And the answer is, how can I be more me in this moment?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the answer, but that ends up being the answer to a lot of things of everything we're navigating, like in the bank, how can I be more me? In the bedroom, how can I be more me? At the easel, how can I be more me in this moment? I mean, I can't think of a better question. So
It's perfect. It is a perfect question, right? Because it guides us. It guides us back into our soul, back into our center. Okay, I'm sharing this because I think this is Perfect.
Mm,
An ancient future soul. Wow.
mm.
Love that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Thank you. That's a very recent painting from a class called Tempo that I taught, where I teach the foundations of our work, which is called intentional creativity. Things like all of them start with M: muse, movement, metacognition, things like that. So this painting, this is a teaching painting, and there were close to 200 people who were painting in their home studio while I was in mine. And
Wow.
theirs is different than mine, but mine is the provocation of it. And in fact, I have it right here, which is why I wanted to come into your studio from our studio and gallery. And I have the painting right here.
Oh, how exciting. Look at this, everyone. Look at what she's walking through.
So here's that painting in the reel, and you can see how big it is. Here, let me go up here.
It's huge.
Oh my gosh, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's just beautiful.
And then here's another recent one. This is my recent muse, and it's called She Has a Wild Imagination.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that's awesome. Boy, I'll tell you what, one of these days, this is my goal. This is one of my goal achievements is to come up there and visit.
Yes, please do. Please do. Yeah. So I thought, do you want to pin me?
I thought I had you pinned. Maybe let me spotlight you. Let me spotlight you.
All right. So I'll give you a little tour of the gallery, which is also a studio. So this is our front door to our gallery. I'm closing it because otherwise people knock on there. And here's the paintings I just showed you. Here's our little couch. This is this painting is called Discovering Pleasure. It's really a mermaid having an orgasm.
I love it.
I also made pillows of my underpaintings. Those of you who are painters,
Yep.
you know, the underpainting is those layers underneath. And so that was, you know, making pillows from the underpaintings. These are my books and book covers that I've done. And is this fun? Do you like this?
Oh my God, I'm so digging it.
Then these are pieces, watercolor. Sorry, this one. These are watercolor. And this one right there, those are the beings, the cosmic cowgirls from the poem you read. This is a recent piece. And let's see a little bit more. Here is so here's our register where we ring up all the money for art because artists got to eat. This is my art station. And this is also a recent painting called Birth of Sonoma Mountain.
Very nice.
Yeah. So that's our little spot. Oh,
Yeah.
and
It's a feast for the eyes. This is a feast for the eyes.
my husband makes teas.
Oh, nice.
So teas and herbal medicines. Yeah. So I thought having our art talk, since, you know, we're in the metaphoric studio, that I'd actually be in one to share with all of you.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's such a creative environment for sure. For sure.
Very inspiring, I think, when you're surrounded by art like that.
Thank you, Lauren. Yeah, it feels good to make beauty and to make images of the feminine, you know, to honor.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe I can ask a question.
Yeah.
I'm really curious about what you'd like beginning artists or even struggling artists to know. What would be important for them?
Yeah. I think that the most important thing that we could even imagine is to understand that we're all innately creative. It's something that you come in with. You're born with it, just like we're born with consciousness and identity. It's just that somehow in the way that we've evolved as a species, we end up not knowing enough about things like consciousness and identity and creativity. And we've mixed it up with intelligence and personality and talent. So in the case of creativity, people think they have to be talented, but creativity talent is just one thing you could do with your creativity. Your creativity is your innate self-expression. Everyone gets the same amount. We all come in with it, goes back and forth across the right and left brain. They're communicating all the time. You have to be creative to survive. So it's almost like rescuing creativity from the ideas that the culture has put upon it, that you need to be talented, or that if you are talented, that you need to make a living from it, that, you know, that you should or you shouldn't, right? Like, oh, you're talented, you should do this, or you're not talented, you should not do that, right? We get all these really weird stories. And it's one of these like subversive understories that's running through most cultures, that creativity is about talent, and it just isn't. So what I would say to all of you is, you are creative. You don't need to make masterworks and be good at something to say, I'm a creative. You might not feel like you want to say, I'm an artist, until you're actually making something, but you are creative all the time. And I believe that everyone innately is an artist, and you need to find your form. And as you find your form, whatever that medium is, work that form, but it doesn't need to be about it being good. It doesn't need to be about selling it. It's not about your value. It's not about the value other people see. It's about what needs to get expressed in this lifetime, that's got to come out, or we're going to get wild in a not good way. We become repressed, you know?
Exactly.
So you are creative.
Yeah, you're kind of talking in a way also, or it ties in a way to nature, nurture, you know, like our nature, our human nature is creative. We're creatives from day one,
Yes,
you
that's
said.
right.
And so it depends on whether we're nurtured by you know, other, or if we come into that place of being able to nurture ourselves. I think the whole concept of talent, it brings up that saying, art is in the eye of the beholder. You know, the most talented person in the world may not touch or move onlookers, but someone who comes out and truly expresses themselves, their art might be seen by thousands, and maybe they would never be considered a massive talent, but boy, their art is so expressive, and it speaks to humanity, and that makes them incredibly invaluable. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's all really interesting. Can you hear my chair squeaking? I mean,
A little bit.
a little bit. Sorry, I'm on a new stool today. So, okay, whatever. All right. So when did you first know you were a painter?
Well, it's curious because I was given art supplies. So no matter how challenging life was, I was given art supplies, and I was given quality art supplies. I really have to say this is just so important, because if we give children non-quality art supplies, we're going to not want to use them anymore. Like, okay, first time small little paint kit from, you know, for $3. If the kid is having fun, please invest $20 in a paint set, right? So the quality of materials, I think, is just super duper important. So I was given quality materials, and I really think that made a difference, honestly. And so I was creating and painting pretty much from the beginning. But interestingly enough, I didn't show very much talent in terms of, you know, how like if someone is able to duplicate nature, they're like, that's good. And if you are not duplicating nature, nothing gets said, or it's like, oh, like your version of that tree, that doesn't, what kind of tree is that? Right? And you're looking at an oak tree, and you can't duplicate the oak tree. So I wasn't able to duplicate nature. That's not my style of creativity. And I didn't want to. So what was curious is that I was encouraged to create, but wasn't praised for creating.
Mm.
And that was an interesting combination, because I just knew I was an artist. And so I did painting, I did all the mediums, and then I went to art school and I absolutely hated it. And so I quit. I felt like they were removing my creativity from me. So when I really had a breakthrough was on a particular day where
Oh, Shiloh, you just froze up for me. Did she freeze up for you, Lauren?
Yes, yes, she's frozen.
Oh, she might have. Hold on, friends. She might have had a glitch, so we'll get her right back in.
She's back.
Oh, you're back. Yay, you're back. That was a little bit of a glitch, but your mic is muted.
Yeah.
And I finish up what you're saying, and then I have to pause for a break, everybody, in 50 seconds. We're going to have an ad break.
Okay. So just that I was
No, it's
about,
going on right now.
okay.
So
Fine.
hold that and we'll resume. That's one of the ways Twitch pays is with ads that come in.
Oh, okay. No problem.
It's ending in 29 seconds, but I don't know. I never see them because.
Yeah. And just so you know, I have no idea what happened. Everything just went black and came back. I've never had that happen before, so I don't know what it is.
Twitch, Zoom, Twitch. Twitch is pretty good, but Zoom, Twitch communication has some difficulties sometimes. We've had a whole session freeze up.
Yeah, little gremlins.
All right, so hello, my friends. We are back with Shiloh, Sophia. This is the bottom of the hour. This is Art Talk that you are tuned into. And we were just talking with Shiloh before our commercial break about children and children's art supplies. And when she knew, when she realized that she was an artist, a painter.
Yeah. So it was a day where because I hadn't shown enough talent and I was still telling myself that story, I was going to quit. And I actually felt really relieved. I was like, oh, wow, I'm not going to do this. This is really friggin' hard. And my teacher, Sue, who's the same person who made this table, she co-parented me with my mom, Karen. She said, we just tried this one other thing. I was like, okay. So she put out a canvas and she sprayed it down with water and she told me to pick 3 colors and just see what happened. And that was it.
Wow.
I made this little black Madonna sitting with a little golden baby Jesus.
Oh my goodness.
And it was just 5 minutes. I kid you. It was 5 minutes.
Do you still have it?
Yeah, I do.
Oh,
Yeah.
awesome.
And it was the water.
Mm.
It was the water. Floating of the water with the colors. And if you've ever many of you are listening, you put, paint on canvas, it's all dry and scratchy. Like it's really not very forgiving and yielding. Just add water and all of a sudden there's this thing happening between the paint and the water and the color and their relationship to each other. And so it's like yellow and green and purple, and then one line, brown mama in the middle. And I was like, there it is. And it was my art, right? So it wasn't duplicating nature or duplicating someone else's art. It was my art and it was the feminine. And that was the day that I was like, okay, I'm going to paint.
Oh, yeah. So I'm going to share this picture because I think this is what you've just been talking about, ties in.
Ooh.
The Guardian.
Mm-hmm.
This is incredible.
Thank you. Yeah, this is called The Guardians. And the subtitle is The Love Within Our Common Vision. And this is about the divine masculine and the divine feminine, our Ma and Pa God.
Yeah.
And down below, you see the 2 humans, and they have a big heart between them, which is like a tree of life. And to us, we appear like those little beings right there trying to negotiate. But the larger framework of consciousness is available. And so it's like, could we see ourselves as that large, as that gorgeous? And inside their heads, which are really their consciousness, there are 32 symbols, which are the 32 symbols of Ice Age Europe, what we think of as Europe today. And those are the symbols that our artist ancestors brought out when we began our migration from Africa. And so the symbols exist all across the European continent, which is evidence that we were one people, and also that we use the same symbols to communicate. So
Yeah.
arrows and leaf patterns and crisscrosses, and actually the hashtag, the asterisk and the hashtag.
Oh, that hashtag is becoming very, very prominent as an ancient symbol. It's being found more and more and more. Did you happen to watch that? It's a documentary on the unknown. And oh gosh, okay, now I'm gonna forget, but they go, it's what did they call those people? It was like really primitive, and they went down into this cave system to crawl to bury their dead, and had ritual and walked on two legs. Oh, I'll have to, it was,
Yep, I know.
you know what I'm talking about?
I can't remember, but I saw it too. I can't remember the name.
Fascinating. And they talked about the hashtag in that. They found it carved on the walls.
Yep, that was one of the ancient symbols. So it's interesting to imagine it being used today. I was asking myself the question last night. I was in a group of people and we were talking, and I said, if there's been, a handful of mass extinctions that have happened before, if that happens and something remains that's carved into stone, what would be the common enough language that the next evolution of humanity would understand what it meant? What if we were to use those first symbols as some of our last symbols?
Well, that's, yeah, boy.
And what would you want to include? I mean, that's the thing, is what would you want to include? What would be important to you if you were communicating with future generations? What would you want them to never forget again?
Yeah, that's very profound. Boy. So many, okay, so metacognitive art, right? Working with that, which is a foundation of Color of Woman. And after, when we become graduates, you encourage us to develop our own offerings. And one of my offerings is metacognitive. It's a 4-week journey into metacognitive art with the regards to finding those symbols, our signs that are within us, like as if it's our hieroglyphic. It's our encoded hieroglyphics, and pulling that out. And so I have found that incredibly empowering. And so that is tying directly into what you're talking about. What's the last language that we would want to leave,
And what is the message, for each person? So each person who's listening in, let's just imagine it, if we were together right now in person and there was a giant stone and we were going to carve in your phrase or your symbol or your image for the future, what would you want people to know?
Well, I can tell you right now. Let me find it. Hold on. It's in one of these books. Don't go away. It's called, oops, you probably can't see it. May love be at the center of all choices. That right there. That's like a motto in life. That every single human being, I feel, needs to embrace. So those of you out there viewing, I see all 250 of you tuned in right now. Take that motto and embrace it. Breathe it in.
Yeah.
That's from our muse, Shiloh.
Shiloh, how does creativity support your growth and well-being? Because you do so many things and you seem to do it with so much joy. What role does creativity play in that?
Everything, it's really everything. It's my lifestyle is the creative lifestyle, but at a very specific level, it's like my consciousness is directly connected with my self-expression. And so as I create, I become, and as I become, I create. So it's my absolute yes to the divine life happening here on earth. And when the way that I know, Kisma, you have the book right there, the Feast Table of Love.
Yes, I do.
Maybe you can find that passage in there from Suhoy Sellers. It's right at the beginning about consciousness. But it's basically, she'll read this quote, but it's the idea that we're keeping track of our consciousness in our art and keeping track of our art in our consciousness.
This one on the page 7, like right off the
Yeah,
bat.
right at the back. Yeah, just read a little bit of that.
Okay, I understand that all of us came from a long line of needs, of shelter, food, and some sort of protection, psychologically as well as physically. My work has developed along the same lines as my consciousness. To develop a working style that keeps up with the development of consciousness requires a whole lot of attention. And the attention is to be respectful of not simply keeping track of data in the artwork that we produce, that our work has within it a sense of perspective on all of life. I consider the act of creating art as a sacred act because we are sacred beings. Essentially, that is who we are. I believe that the life force that lives in here, in these colonized cellular structures, is sacred. Sue Hoya Sellers. This book, I'm telling you, all of them, but that book, get it. I have a question. I do have a question, Shiloh. You guys started to talk about it, but what's going on in your private studio practice right now?
Well, it's a curious thing because we actually have 3 locations that we are traveling to and from every single day. So I have a little studio set up in each space. And so, quite literally, I'm teaching classes in my spaces, and then I'm continuing to develop paintings, and I have commissions, and I have, this one's really, really recent. But right now, what I'm painting toward is the connection between the spirit and the soma, or our body. Another word for body is soma. The connection, mending the connection between spirit and body, and inside the container of soul. And what does that look like in a painting?
Oh yeah, that's powerful. Are you using a specific medium? Sorry, Lauren, did I just cut you off?
That's okay. I just said I can't wait to see that one.
Yeah, I'm going to bring you over to another painting here.
All right, let me get tight on you. So are you finding a favorite medium that you're working in these days, or is it still acrylic?
Still acrylic.
Yeah, yeah.
But this is a recent painting too.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
that one is called The Mother of Night and the Mother of Day. And so that one for me has a lot to do with equity and the divine feminine.
That's your judge.
Yep, that's exactly right.
Yeah, wow, that's pretty incredible. I would like to take us to your website to show people how they can connect up with you and get a hold of you. I'm going to show you the website, but those of you watching, don't go there yourself and get lost. Just bookmark it and go to it after our art talk is over, because we still have some great things to talk about. And I know how it is when you go to a website, we tend to dial into that website and kind of go on a wandering journey and we get lost. But the website is colorofwoman.com, and stay with us while I show it because Shiloh's going to talk about different things on it. So everybody should see our the website. Oh, sorry, I didn't queue it up properly. I'm going to go all the way to the top. Okay, here it is, Musea University, but it's also colorofwoman.com, and I'm going to scroll down. Now, this was for Clan Cura, right? And this course has already begun. Is that correct, Shiloh? Oh, Shiloh, you've muted yourself.
This course is just starting. So anyone can join us if they want to.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a 4-week course and it's the prerequisite for Color of Woman, which Kismet did her own legend back in the day. I
Back
think
in the day, it's changed.
2019 or 18, I think, when you did your
Yeah.
legend.
Yeah, it's been a
But
while.
this is our signature course.
Oh, very nice. And even if you are a graduate of Color of Woman, this would be something you would be interested in going on the journey, right?
Absolutely. I mean, we do it every year. Most of us do it every year.
Every year something comes out differently because why? Because you're different.
You're evolving. Yeah.
You're evolving, exactly. Okay, so here is Musea University Color of Woman. This is, I would say, your, I just went blank on the word. What's the word where it's like you are well known for that word? Do you know what I'm, for that
Famous?
famous? Yeah, but it's even more important than
Yeah, like your signature, your
signature.
land.
Yes, this is your signature course,
Yeah.
Color of Woman. And
Yeah. Yeah. This is a 9-month training, the one that Kismet has taken. And this 9-month training, basically you create a body of work and you don't need to know how to paint. You just have to want to. And it's for anyone who's a helping, healing professional, healer, shaman, guide, therapist, anyone who wants to guide others in creativity, actually.
yes. And this begins in November, is that correct?
November 1st.
November 1st. So there is still time. Can people apply to get in if they want?
Well, I would say that if you are interested, please reach out to us at
Immediately.
immediately, because we just closed it, but we're offering it to you if you feel called. So we just closed it at the, October 1st, but we knew we were having this call today. So we said we could open a couple spots. If you want to reach out, it is available.
Yeah, because this is only once a year. So if you don't get in it now, if you feel the calling and you don't make it happen now, you will have to wait until 2024. And oh, oops, sorry. And here's that beautiful painting that we showed a little bit earlier. Isn't the healing? Oh, no, I haven't showed this one yet, huh?
Yeah. This one is called The Healing Arts Matriarch.
Boy.
And this is my legend. And this is the legend that people are working on right now. Where this painting is the inspiration painting where I show technique and everyone's painting is different. But we provide instruction because it isn't about people learning this style of painting. It's about learning an approach to painting. And those who need support with how to paint, we provide ways of doing that. And those who are already painters and don't need support with how to paint, then we're supporting you in how you're going to teach others. So basically reverse engineered painting a painting like this so that anybody could do it. It's interesting because it's not really about we're not just here making artists who want to go sell in galleries. It's more about educating healers and guides who want to bring self-expression to themselves and to the guests that they work with. It's less about showing and being the most original painter in the world and more about helping.
Nice. And you know what, Shiloh, here's something really interesting. I don't know if you've seen this because as other people view your art, they see things in it that even the artist maybe didn't intend or see, but you know how the aura, how the brush strokes coming out. To me, all of a sudden, I see her sitting in the Akashic records. All of these are volumes of your life books. You know what I mean?
I do. I love that.
Isn't that cool? I mean,
Mhm.
it just popped out. She is in your life history. That's incredible.
I
All
love
right.
that.
So, and this is a previous year. This is community. So you get to meet a community also of other applicants, women who are taking the path now. Now, I want to come to you for a moment,
Yeah.
because those of you who go to the website are going to see a lot of things. And of course, as we scroll down, you can see there are other things that you can apply for and get involved in. But I want to come back to you. And what I wanted to ask you is this. I've just gone blank. I've just gone blank. What the heck?
Let it arise right now. What do you want? Let's think about our viewers right now, and tune into them.
Let me look at them. Hey, viewers. Hey, out there. Oh, we're actually we're in an ad break right now. Oh no, we were in an ad break. So that's one thing I do want to share to the Twitch viewers who are here. Twitch does its ad breaks, but if you are a subscriber to our Twitch TV channel, you don't have to sit through any commercials. So that's a little thing. Okay, so I don't have any questions here posted from anybody, unfortunately. Our viewers they come, but they're shy. Don't be shy. You got Shiloh here. Ask her what's on your mind and in your heart. And that's at the fingertips, just itching to ask, right? Okay, so we were looking at your website. I guess it's gone. I should have just asked while we were on your focus on your website. Oh, darn it. Okay, that happens, right?
I have
yeah.
a question. I have a
Oh,
question.
go for it.
Yeah. What is most important to you as an artist, Shiloh? Like if you're an artist who does these wonderful, huge paintings and that are so rich in detail, but what is most important to you?
I think representing the image of what's possible for us as a species, and also mending the images of the past regarding the feminine. When colonization and power structures started, which is not really that long ago, like less than 10,000 years ago, and then really amplified over the past 6,000 years. One of the ways that they put power in is to remove the images of the feminine that are present in the cultures. Remove it entirely, distort it, make the deity masculine only. We no longer have the direct idea of the mother as the birth giver. We don't even have the divine couple necessarily. She's just sort of over there. And then after that, after the destruction of the images, also came the destruction of matriarchy and the destruction of women's equity with men. And then when we fast forward to the, past the Bronze Age and Metal Age, and off we go, and now we're in the age of technology. And as soon as technology started, like print media or sculptural media, the feminine started being represented by people who paid other people to create the image that they wanted. So as soon as we have an exchange of dollars, we have a manipulation of the image. Even if you think of like Botticelli's Venus, for example, it's a man who posed for it. And it's a scary story, honestly, from Greek mythology. And these are commissioned pieces. And so a lot of the artwork we see in museums have been paid for by other people. And so we don't necessarily have what the artist would do on their own necessarily. And so what's important to me is re-imaging the feminine and bringing her back into our lives, which, because of our art movement there are tens of thousands of images of the feminine that now exist that did not exist 30 years ago. So
Mm.
that's
It's-
what's important. And that it's not just my image. I'm just one of many.
That's wonderful. It's something that's so important to bring out today, I think, because of, we even today, we hear so much about what men are doing and how they're creating the world. And we don't always hear the woman's story behind that.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, actually, this hour has zoomed by and we're at our last question, which is going to come from me. So,
Right?
Shiloh, first of all, I just want to say it's really been a deeply moving experience to have met you, to have been able to come and unite with you and what you are offering the world, and to walk and witness your muse in operation. You muse. I really am going to title you, I'm dubbing you Muse. You are the muse. So you make painting seem effortless and available to every single person, which I think is quite a feat. So I have a question about, and it's a simple question. What is your artist constitution or sensibility? Would you say you're heart-centered, mind-centered, or body-centered?
Hmm.
I mean, I think they're all coherent.
Yet they're defined a little differently. Heart-centered is intuitive. We paint strictly from intuition, our feelings, our emotions. Mind-centered is strategy, it's planning out, it's charting, it's really gathering together the perfect supplies and being very pedantic with painting in a way. And body is, you gotta put your whole body into it. I think you're all three personally, because you have that cohesion, like you said. But I think each one of us has a predomination towards one of those: mind, body.
It depends on the moment, right? Because I think that you're flowing, you're flowing from what you feel in the body as you start to paint, and then you start to organize it with your mind, 10 minutes later, and then you feel an emotion through your heart of what arises. And so I would think that a painting, you would necessarily be going through all of them. I would anyway.
Mhm.
And then you're observing the happening, which then creates the next cascade. So I wouldn't say I would stay dominantly in one or the other. It's all in a continuum, a spectrum. Of course, intuitive love is, it's all arising from that space, but it's
Yeah.
coherent for me, it feels like.
Yeah, you're probably first and foremost heart-centered because it's what you feel. You feel, you're a feeler, you're a touchy feeler, you're a romantic, Shiloh.
Oh, I am.
You really are, yeah. A beautiful romantic. Well, oh my gosh, I want to just thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I feel so proud to have you on the show, and I'm so honored. And this is like the top art talk ever.
Aw, thank you so much. Thanks so much for having me and for having art conversations. I feel like it's just so important for us to talk about art, literally, and to talk about what's happening in our consciousness, what's happening in our paintings. The other thing is that once people, for those of you who are in the healing fields of any kind, if you do art with your guests, I call them guests when I can instead of clients. If you do art with other people, you're giving them the gift of their own expression.
Yes.
Right? Also, the talking that happens after art gets made is totally, this is directly art talk, right? When you talk after art gets made with someone, the conversation you have is totally different.
Mm. Mm.
Oh, you just got muted. I don't know how you muted.
I'm not muted. It just went to the image.
Oh, is that what it was? It jumped to the image? Okay, sorry about that. Yeah.
There's the image. There's an image. This is called divine listening.
Mm.
It's just so gentle, so beautiful. It's this to me, and this is why I saved it at the end,
Mhm.
was because this is what you give the world. This is you. This is you giving to the world. Each one of us, you hold us like a baby, so gentle, so loving, and you surround us with incredible beauty and the mystery of our own souls. And yeah, you're a gift to the world, Shiloh. So
Well, thank you so much.
thank you.
Mm.
Well, as Shiloh leaves our studio today, hopefully we can have you back because we didn't even get to the university. So we'll have to bring you and maybe Jonathan back, and we could have a university sharing about what that means for us in today's world,
Yeah.
especially as creatives.
Totally.
And so that might be a future. That might be a future art talk.
Yeah,
Mm.
people are welcome to visit musea.org and read about the university right there.
Yeah, musea.org. All right. Thank you, Shiloh.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks, everyone. Keep creating.
Yeah, so here we are, and we're at the end of our show. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk just for a few minutes. First of all, I want to say to the viewers out there, thank you for being here today and for tuning in and giving the support to the Shiloh Sophia McLeod Art Talk, and of course to Lauren and myself. The commercial pitch is, if you aren't a follower, please click that little follow button right now. It helps keep us active. This is a free commodity, and it's all based on viewers and followers. And then of course we offer subscriptions for a big whopping $4.99 a month. You will have access to our entire schedule and get to come in, and also once a month to our subscribers, we have a private Zoom art class that you come into. So there are some benefits. And the other one is no commercials, which does disrupt. So yeah, Lauren, I don't know.
I think I'm not. It's my honor and privilege today to tell you who our next invitee is, our next guest to Art Talk, and it's our very own Kisma Riedling. So,
It's all her. It's all
she's
her.
a little bit shy, but I think she's going to be a very interesting guest. She's an author, a painter, a creative. She's done so many different things over her life that are creative. And I think she's going to bring a lot of really interesting ideas to our chat next week. So I'm looking forward to seeing you there, Kiz.
Next month.
Next month. Yeah, not next week, next month.
Yeah. So I'm gonna, there's a story behind why she asked if I would do it next month, but we'll tell you next month. So you have to come next month to find out why this is happening. But it's gonna be Lauren and I next month. So we're gonna have fun in the studio. So thank you everyone for viewing. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We'll see you next month, and check out the schedule for other happenings.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye for now.